It's just the byproduct of how PMax functions at a campaign type. It can go after anybody and it will try to go warm. It may not even see it, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that it won't continue to do so, even if it doesn't see it. Why? That's the function as to how Performance Max was built from the ground up. The bones of this campaign is like you hunt down website traffic. So if I make that easier, I could throw this worse into that, in that situation. So that's why I'm looking at the total of what did I get for my 18% less cost? I got worse, new, and more returning globally, even trying not to optimize towards it. If this was even optimizing towards it, this would have went haywire, way worse in the wrong direction. So feeder strategy, when you're actually importing first click, there's no such thing anymore. So first thing we're going to be talking about is our little test inside of, there we go, InnoSups here. Cool. So what we're looking at, and we did a video on this before where we started to build a PMax feed only, non-brand new customer only, yada, yada, yada in PMax versus just my standard non-brand shopping. What we did in the first week was we launched Performance Max, and the standard shopping campaign dipped inside of spend and revenue and volume, but did not dip in performance. We saw Performance Max grab, about 1/3 of the ad spend, about 1/4 of the ad spend in the first week. It started to increase a bunch of new customer acquisition at a better CPA and a better ROAS. What I've done is I've left that on for about 3 weeks now, 4 weeks now, and we are comparing week 1 here, which is just our performance or just standard shopping, which we were running here, versus this last week where it has been running for the last 3 weeks with these two combined. So kind of like a before and after, and then measure the totals. What's interesting is it did not make the campaign more efficient, but it did drag down my standard shopping campaign, my non-brand standard shopping. And this is what I'm seeing as a result. So after adding in Performance Max, going after the same users on the same channel, is Performance Max actually better than standard shopping? That's what we're trying to solve for. And the standard shopping campaign ended up losing $6,700 in cost. And the Performance Max campaign only gained $2,500 in ad spend. This is trying to spend $1,300 per day. Now, the TROAS goals in feeder strategy. Oh, I had that. Sorry, let me do this. Target ROAS. This campaign here, interestingly enough, is at a 40, and then this is at a 175. So we're basically trying to see what performance, and what we're seeing is it's not necessarily more efficient. It is simply scooping the cream off the top, which is kind of assumed. That's what I was expecting. Most people are like, PMax and standard shopping, which one's better? Well, if you're counting the same users on the same channel, new customers, non-brand, it actually is not more necessarily effective or efficient just yet. What we're seeing
for people that just joined, this is PMax optimizing towards new customers. So it's not like we're not doing like the settings instead of Performance Max where it's like new customer only. No, it's the actual conversion action that's being imported in this new customers.
And I've actually tested new customer only on and off because Google kept telling me to. I was like, okay, cool, I'll do it. And what was interesting is even inside of here in change history, I flipped it on, flipped it off. I've had it on for a while, had it off for a while. Didn't make a difference. We won't go through like I did it on and did it off, but there was like new customers that were on, new customers turned off. Nothing actually made a difference. It didn't recognize anybody. It still got the same amount of new and returning. We can even see the all conversions by conversion time. It's 21 or 27, 21. Like it didn't matter. It was still about the same rate. So here's what's kind of interesting. This is what I'm seeing is just for new customers only, not returning customers. That's a whole different story, which we'll go into in a moment. There's still value there. For new customers only, my cost was down $4,000. So 18% down. What's interesting is the 175 target took more than what the 40% target was targeting, meaning theoretically, this is the bottom 40 percentile and above, and this is the top 175 percentile and above. This 175, because it was a target, went down into like the 100 percentile range, which means it started eating too much into my standard shopping. It was not able to produce the same result though. So we did lose $4,000 in ad spend. We're down 18% in cost. Now the value per conversion, when things are like plus and minus 5 to 10%, I usually just kind of treat it as normal ebb and flows. but I would say that's unchanged. 124 versus 127. Okay. So about the same product, same purchasers. CPA is interesting. This did go up to 137 because the under $100 left that account or left that campaign. So if you had an average of 119 and you take a bunch of 92s out of it, that average has to increase because the cheaper ones, the delta between those two, that $20 difference left, which means your $20 difference is now added here. But the top line only changed by $9 or 7%. I would consider that fairly unchanged. And then we look at the conversion by conversion time. We lost 24% of our conversions for a loss of 18% of our cost. Okay, so cost per conversion total, the CPA is, where did that go? Wait. Yep, there we go. CPA, that one, the 119, 128, that's fairly unchanged. So we're not really, we're about at an even efficiency with CPA. We're just lower volume. So 24% loss in conversions and an 18% loss is a difference of 7.5% increase in CPA, but approximately unchanged for performance, but we are definitely down in volume. So the all conversions we're looking at is new and returning customers. New customers left, returning customers stayed the same. I've always said that performance non-brand standard shopping is primarily driven and optimized and can be scaled up or down on new, especially if you're optimizing towards it. So the ad spend that was reduced inside of standard shopping actually would have had a better all conversion value. And so actually we'll go through, we'll add that there.
And this is also with a client that has a huge pool of warm traffic.
200 grand a day in Meta. Exactly. So a lot of, and so that's why we're trying to like break that out, isolate it, compare and scale. I mean, this is some really clean shit too. Really nice, clean data. So the all conversion value here, if we look at these differences, we lost 13 grand here, but we only lost 2 there. So we would have actually not seen a large reduction inside of the ad spend comparative to the reduction in value comparative to reduction in ad spend. We just would have lost more of our better users. So that is actually, I would say that that's an inefficiency there. I don't want to lose 38% new customers and keep 0.21% difference in returning. So what's interesting is this new customer only did do a good job at stealing them. The problem is it only reattributed 73 and 27. It did do a good job at adding returning customers. So when you look at this, the 71 going to 70, unchanged, but we added 21 returning. Okay, so wait a minute. Now what did we actually do? Well, let's take some totals and find out what we actually did. And this is where it gets really interesting because if you're not measuring this way, it would look better, but in the worst manner. So we had
I might have to explain that again, but
exactly. Okay. 188 plus 71. We had 259 total sales here. Now the 71 going to 70. So we have 71, minus 1. So we're still at 70. We only lost basically 1, but we added 21 new. So let me actually create a notepad because this will be easier to follow. That's my turn off search partners. That's funny. Okay. So we're going to go from our, let me make this a little bit smaller.
So you added 21 return, not new.
Added 21 return. Exactly.
Return. Yeah.
So we went from 188 new down to, let's do 115 and 27. So let's just make sure we have our new, we had 188. Now we have 115 plus 27. So 142. So now down to 142. Loss of, what is that? 44 or 46? Loss of 46 new customers. Now we went from 71 returning customers, 71. Then now it's 70 plus 21, so 91. So we added 20 returning customers. Okay. So what's interesting here is for a reduction of 18%, we also lost 46 new customers and added 20 returning. So if we look at the actual, like what has been the effect, yes, same CPA, but we did lose volume. Yes, but we also lost more of the bad or more of the good volume. We lost more of the good volume, which means we added more bad volume, which means I've lost 73 new and I added 21 returning. So that's what's kind of interesting here is that reduction is not met by the increase in new. So we lost more new customers than we gained. And then that reduction of returning was not even offset by the addition of returning, which means we added more returning. So we lost 46 new, gained 20 returning, and we have lower volume. So
That
what did
sounds
Performance
horrible.
Max, right? What did Performance Max do? It did do better in terms of a ROAS 121 to 0.76, but we also had a cheaper CPA of 168 to 102. But what you can see here is that this is more of a, 55-45 split, or maybe 60-40 split of 27 to 21. But we used to have 188 and 71. So not only did we take ad spend out of a better campaign, producing more new customers ratio and more new customers, period, but we added returning customers and still more new than what we could even recontribute.
So what would that, I mean, wouldn't that just be the cause of a higher TROAS?
Well, not the standard shopping campaign was untouched. We did not touch that at all.
Oh, no, I mean in the feed only.
Oh, where it's a higher amount of
Yeah,
returning?
like
it's
having
a
like a
secondary
higher
conversion event. The returning customers are secondary conversion events, so they're not actually trying to optimize towards it, but the inefficiency of Performance Max doing too much remarketing is why we saw more return.
Yeah.
Now that happened whether we wanted it to or not, whether we were optimizing to it or not. Simply by adding in Performance Max did that much damage when it couldn't even see it. If you didn't have CAPI imports, like this
it'd
would
be
have been
even
a shit
worse.
show. Exactly.
Yeah.
So if we're just looking at, okay, I don't have CAPI imports, I'm doing a purchase event, but still, what is going to be better? Like I get that question every day. Performance Max standard shopping. My first question is, are you using CAPI imports? No. Even by trying not to have that happen, which is more returning than new, more loss of new than the gain of returning, we're now in a much worse situation for better in-platform metrics, even with CAPI importing when we're measuring. So not only did I lose volume, I also lost more new customers, gain more returning for less money.
So the way that I'm looking at this, because I actually shot a video on this as well too, but the way I'm looking at this is it's sort of like a pyramid where it's like if you had to pick the most efficient to the least efficient, it's like number one, CAPI imports, most important for going more towards cold versus warm. Next, tactics, right? So having a lower TROAS or picking the right strategy, making sure you aren't over pressuring the algorithm to go after warm traffic with obviously all the different ways to do it. And then on top of that is like audience exclusions, which is like the least impactful, but it's something. And so that's interesting to see. So you need to, I'd be curious to see if you were to run this on like the same TROAS, like 40% with the feed only, and see if that starts to prioritize cold traffic. Because if it does, like, apples to apples, in terms of just, what the settings are. If it doesn't perform and has the same exact results, then that's like proof right there. Totally different engine. And no matter what you do with it, it doesn't go cold.
That's what Kevin's idea was. He goes, well, what if we just crank down the TROAS? And my initial setting was we can, but it may exacerbate the problem we're already experiencing now, which is I've taken 18% of my cost out. For example, if I take 18% of my cost out and I have 24% less new and 29% more returning, and then I make this target easier to get more users, well, that split is potentially going to get a lot worse and a lot more returning. So because you lower the barrier to entry to come into PMax is like, wait a minute, I get to go after anybody ever I want ever? Yes. Woo! And it's just going to go no holds barred into returning. Potentially. That's what I didn't want to have happen. At first off, it's like, hey, can I just go after newer customers with more efficiency? No. You can have an equal amount of new and returning at less global efficiency. And that's worse. So that's where it's like you have to look at the splits and say, if we made the target easier for it to get this, what would happen to that? Oh my God. It's not even seeing it. It's just the byproduct of how PMax functions at a campaign type. It can go after anybody and it will try to go warm. It may not even see it, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that it won't continue to do so, even if it doesn't see it. Why? That's the function as to how Performance Max was built from the ground up. The bones of this campaign is like you hunt down website traffic. So if I make that easier, I could throw this worse into that, in that situation. So that's why I'm looking at the total of what did I get for my 18% less cost? Fuck, I got worse new and more returning globally, even trying not to optimize towards it. If this was even optimizing towards it, this would have went haywire, way worse in the wrong direction. So feeder strategy, when you're actually importing first click, there's no such thing anymore. And that's why I said I've almost abandoned feeder strategy for first click imports, because now it's the same exact data. before with feeder strategy, it was only because standard shopping didn't get attribution because everything was data drivenly given to Performance Max. But when you take the power away of attribution and go right back to standard shopping, no, standard shopping's still better. Hey, if you like this video, we have a Skool Community where we have a few hundred members and we cover topics, everything from the basics to all the way to the like hyper crazy advanced stuff that's like coming out next month. So a few hundred members there. We go live twice a week, something with an hour-long education about something that is very relevant to the community that week, plus a weekly Q&A where you just get to come and bring us all of your problems and we solve them one at a time.
So I have a link below in the description if you want to join. And then obviously if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and we can answer those for you. And we'll see you in there.